All right. Hey everybody. It's your boy old Sam. I'm chilling. You know that. I am perpetually chilling. Today I didn't have to work, so I actually got to research the topic of what I'm going to talk about. And it went pretty well, but I'm actually chilling with somebody other than myself and my imaginary producer this week. Good buddy, Erik, you want to say hello?
Howdy. How's it going, everybody?
I said say hello, not howdy. Was this some sort of country podcast? Yeah. This week we are celebrating the yearly tradition of WrestleMania. I'm new to the wrestling fad. Erik's been a fan of it for, I don't know.
Years, probably since I was 10 years old.
And you're 45?
I'll be 46 in a month.
Okay. Yeah. Erik's really old. Not unlike The Undertaker, who may or may not make a special appearance in this episode. But what are your general thoughts of the whole weekend?
I think it was fantastic. It was a lot of wrestling, maybe too much. I feel like I overindulged, like I needed to shower after this weekend. It was just too much.
It felt greasy.
It did feel greasy.
You know,
it
like
felt
my hair was as wet as Adam Cole's hair, which is pretty wet.
That's pretty wet.
Yeah, there was the NXT takeover and the WrestleMania Saturday night and Sunday night, respectively.
And if you want to throw the Hall of Fame into the mix, which I did not watch.
No, that was like 5.5 hours, and I don't care enough about wrestling. And when I started watching wrestling, which was like maybe 3 months ago, right around the time I started the podcast, I was dead set on not becoming a fan. After this weekend, I think I'm a fan. I think I really I enjoyed every match in NXT. And Mania was whatever. I don't know those wrestlers as well as I know the NXT guys that's who I've been kind of watching getting into this, I don't know, this new hobby of mine.
I mean, they're definitely the right folks to be watching. I think it's hard to argue even with the big names that are on the main roster. I mean, I think NXT is definitely where the best matches are.
Yeah, and that's called a developmental league for the people that might know less about wrestling than I am.
It's like their farm system or their minor leagues, basically building their own talent.
Yeah, it's cool to watch. There's less drama like in the stories, but it seems like it's still more drama. Like you don't have people calling each other names or anything, but you have these crazy rivalries and these friendships that turn. It's bizarre. I don't know. Maybe that happens in the WWE Raw and SmackDown more, but
I credit kind of what you said to the more intimate setting. I think it definitely caters to your more hardcore, fans, and by hardcore your weekly watchers. I think your parents are going to bring your kids to Raw and SmackDown, but I think the people at NXT that show up and pay the money, they're very invested.
They're the true wrestling fans.
Absolutely.
Well, and yeah, so maybe we start talking about NXT TakeOver first, since technically it's a lesser production than Mania, even though the video quality was better, the promos were better, the live music was not better, but I mean, who cares about that? It's a wrestling event. All of the music's going to be pretty crappy butt rock. But yeah, we started off, there's some drama between Adam Cole and his what do you call it? Stable? The Undisputed Era? Stable,
yeah, definitely.
A group of 3 dudes that like to shock the system. That's kind of their thing.
Adam Cole, baby.
He is the cockiest dude out there, and I think he's got to be everybody's favorite.
He's great. He's great. He's hard to hate, and he gets reaction every time, which is what you want as a wrestler.
Yeah, he's got this like waspy, like if you're a wasp person, he looks like Jesus to you.
Yeah.
Like just cut with long, wet hair.
He's if Mac from Sunny ran into Jesus really fast and they fused into one creature.
Yeah.
You'd have Adam Cole, baby.
Yeah. If that could happen, hypothetically, yeah, that is what would happen. But yeah, so him and his boy Kyle Riley they have to wrestle to keep their tag team championship belt later in the match. But Adam Cole also has to wrestle for the North American title, a new belt
Brand new belt debuting in a 6-man ladder match.
6 people, even more ladders than there were people that I believe got that were there, for lack of a better phrase.
Madness.
Yeah, so we had, who was it? Adam Cole, Velveteen Dream, who's this kid's 22 years old, and an unbelievable wrestler. Yeah,
He's one of my new favorites, doing big things.
oh yeah, probably saw him fall like over 100 feet over the course of the amount of things he jumped off of.
Yeah, at least.
A high flying asexual dude dressed in purple.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of his gimmick, right? Like kind of like Prince and Michael Jackson. Like what?
Yeah,
What
definitely.
is he?
That's my impression.
And then you had 2 big guys, Killian Dane and Lars Sullivan, who I was surprised at, like the athletic ability on Killian Dane first and foremost.
Absolutely. They surprised me. I mean, usually when you think of ladder matches, it's typically not a big man match.
No, you got to be able to scurry up the ladder like a squirrel or another small critter that climbs well.
A wallaby.
Yeah, a wallaby. Definitely not a manatee. Manatees are not getting the belt in a ladder match most often, I'm imagining.
What kind of animal would Killian Dane be?
Oh, man. First thing that comes to mind is Great Dane, for obvious reasons. Because of his name.
I don't get it.
His last name's Dane. His first name's Killian, which is Scottish for great.
See what you did there. That was
It's not that hard to do. You just think a little bit more than a normal person. Or way less than the average person. I'm not sure where these thoughts come from. But what kind of animal would he? I mean, maybe like a, I don't know, woolly mammoth?
mammoth, maybe a goat, maybe a big mountain goat.
Yeah, he's pretty big.
Yeah, watching him climb definitely surprised me.
There were a couple times where I thought him and Lars Sullivan were going to get the belt, and I was like, what? No. Hey, you can't do that, but it'd be cool to see.
Yeah.
Lars at one point picked up a ladder and threw it into the ring, knocking out the other 5 people, which was awesome. And just people wreaking havoc with ladders all over the place.
I mean, this is just a shot in the dark, but I'm guessing, I think the first ladder match was like 94.
If you guys could hear that, my roommate just walked in and said hello to his cat in a very funny manner. If not, this is a weird thing to say into a microphone. But we haven't even said the rest of the people in the match. You have EC3, was that his debut?
I believe it was. Yeah.
I feel like we had 2 debuts in this match, EC3 and Ricochet.
Kind of his comeback is repackaging as a new character. He was brought up in WWE probably about 7 years ago, left, and then came back disgustingly huge.
The minute I saw that guy, I was like, that's the most wrestling-looking dude in all of wrestling right now. Just disgustingly ripped.
Was definitely the white elephant in that match.
Yeah. And he didn't do a whole lot except get, tossed, I think he got the crap kicked out of him by Killian Dane for 10 minutes, which was pretty fun to watch. And he got that high-flying super elbow from Velveteen Dream off the top of that 30-foot ladder, or super tall ladder.
That was very cool. That was like a modern-day Randy Savage move. And as you know, I kind of do like Randy Savage.
I think most people who like wrestling do. I wouldn't know. I don't know anything about wrestling. Randy Savage, is he a farmer?
He's a bad man that likes neon.
Who doesn't like neon? Speaking of neon, we also had Ricochet making his debut, and this guy was also crazy. He did, I think he maybe did 25 different flips, if you combine.
Yeah, I think he stole the match. He was my favorite.
When he jumped off of he's on the ladder about to grab the belt, and somebody tipped it, and you assume he was going to land on the ropes and get a nut shot or whatever. But instead, he does a backflip onto Killian Dane and Lars Sullivan.
I'd never seen anything like that before. And it looked flawless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It looked fantastic.
Oh, it looked super painful for everybody. And he probably flew 20 feet.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh, man.
And I think his first move in the match was that springboard shooting star press that he did to the outside. And right away, I was like, okay, here we go. This is going to be
awesome.
Fun.
Who's this guy?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. He's the best fighter in there right now.
And he sold all of his moves like fantastically. He made everything look genuinely painful.
Did he get pretty close to getting the belt? Or was it like right at the end before Adam Cole swooped in? Was it Velveteen Dream or was it Ricochet about to grab it?
I believe it was Velveteen Dream, but I could be wrong.
Okay. So maybe, yeah, I think he had a couple close shots with it. But
He was in the mix the whole time, yeah.
I think everybody kind of thought Velveteen Dream was going to come in and swoop it out of nowhere because he didn't really do a lot. And then he had two huge moves, the giant super elbow, and then he built a bridge with the ladder and did some crazy move to EC3 off that, which looked so painful. I don't know. It was a crazy match, but Adam Cole ended up coming away with the belt. And, you know, he still had to fight later in the night, but, you know, that's one belt for Undisputed Era off, you know, to start the night.
Absolutely. Congratulations to Adam Cole and everybody else. It's very seldom you see a six-man match where every competitor gets their moments in. A lot of time the choreography, because of it, there's so much downtime and, you know, waiting outside the ring for the next spot or the next breakup. But no, everyone got their moves in and was great.
And those are arguably 6 of the best fighters in NXT.
I would say so.
Maybe not, you know, you're missing Aleister Black and Almas, but they had their own match that night.
Yeah, if not the biggest names, some of the best athletes.
Yeah, absolutely the best athletes. The next match we had, which was pretty exciting, it was Shayna Baszler, a Sioux Falls, South Dakota native UFC fighter on the come up. That's all I know about her. She looks like a kind of a bulky Julia Stiles. You know?
I can see that. Yeah, yeah.
And sorry to Julia Stiles or sorry to Shayna Baszler. I don't know who that's more or less insulting to.
I don't know if it's a diss to either.
I suppose. Jewel Stiles was in 10 Things I Hate About You, and that movie was awesome. Not great, but it was, you know, stellar.
Yeah.
This isn't about her though. This is about Shayna Baszler and Ember Moon.
Just handing all sorts of plugs, man.
This is a free plug podcast. If you are in something that I like, I'll probably talk about it and won't get paid at all ever, which is fine.
This is a good man, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll cut that out. I don't want people to think I'm a good man. I want them to think I'm a deviled ovo, you know, an egg.
This is a spherical animal product that contains protein.
Yep, and I'm not a testicle. I'm an egg. So, Shayna Baszler and Ember Moon, I thought there was no chance Shayna Baszler was going to take the belt. No chance that she was going to come in and like, Ember Moon's one of my favorite female wrestlers right now. I don't know why there are so many pirate-themed female wrestlers.
It's kind of weird, isn't it?
It seems weird, and it's cool, though. She's got kind of like an evil pirate thing, and then Kyrie, the other one, the smiley Asian, she's like a whole different kind of pirate, but
basically a walking anime character. And that sounds terrible, but I mean, that's kind of the appeal there, right?
Honestly, I'm pretty disappointed you said that on my podcast. It's borderline racist, Erik, and I think I'd like you to apologize to all of the anime people out there that can walk. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't apologize for making a joke. Yeah. Shayna said she was gonna snap, tap, or nap. That's what she was gonna do to Ember Moon. That was her thing, and she made her tap. I didn't think I would see a submission that early in the night. I didn't think I would see it from the demon pirate, but it happened.
It wasn't what I was expecting, but it was really fun to watch. I mean, all those submissions and, you know, that battling on the mat at the end, that was intense. That looked genuinely painful. I would not want to have a armbar slapped on me by Shayna Baszler.
I don't want to get slapped at all, ever. At all, let alone to have an armbar slapped on me on top of it. No, thank you. But from Shayna Baszler, maybe. How mean would you let her be to you? Scale of 1 to 10.
A scale of 1 to Rousey?
Yeah, no, from like Drew Barrymore to Courtney Love.
Oh, man. It's a tough scale.
It is a tough scale, isn't it? Like maybe mid-level Anna Kendrick. I don't know. I don't know how this scale works. That's just, I let better people than me be mean to me. Whoever. Doesn't matter. Yeah, kind of a short match between the two ladies. Cool to see the belt exchange hands.
Definitely. I felt it was adequate time. I felt every match on the takeover card was solid.
Nothing was too long. Nothing was too short.
No, I mean, and I think there was 4 matches, right?
On
takeover? 5?
5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them.
And for a 3-hour show, I mean, divided up, that's I think that's pretty good.
I was into it wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
The next match we had was the Tag Team Championship with Undisputed Era, which we mentioned earlier, and Authors of Pain, 2 just huge dudes.
They're
Akam
great.
and Razor, they're the best. They don't talk. They only create pain, as their name says. It's cool. They've got their finisher. They put people's crotches in their face to hold them on their shoulders. I don't know how to say it. It's like a reverse piggyback, and then they run these 2 people into each other's backs and then powerbomb them.
I think you nailed the description there.
Yeah, and if not, at least I can say it. And Authors of Pain don't talk, so they're gonna. What are they gonna do?
I'm more scared of their manager,
Paul.
Paul. Yeah, he's a terrifying guy. You know what I mean?
Didn't you serve that guy like pancakes somewhere sometime or something like that?
I did not. Minnesota connection though. Precious Paul Ellering, former wrestler. He managed the Road Warriors.
Road Warriors.
Yeah, and he's from Minnesota, and he actually he served my parents once years ago at a supper club.
Okay, so I had it totally backwards. Still pretty cool though.
Yeah.
How did they know that their server was him? Did he like give them their full name or pass out a business card? It's a weird fun fact.
I think the hint was that the place was owned by him, and you couldn't walk 5 feet into the place without seeing plaques of wrestlers slapped all over the tacky wood paneled walls.
Sure. He wasn't like a young buck like saving money to go to wrestling school.
No, I think he was trying to make money off his little fame.
Sure. And who's not trying to? I'm trying to do that.
Yeah.
If you got a product that I like or don't like and you want me to plug it, I'll do it for money or for free.
And that wasn't a shot at Paul. I think the guy's doing way better now than he was then. So.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's got Authors of Pain, and I imagine they're going to get called up to the WWE. I imagine he's going to go with them and probably continue to make a crap ton of money, if not a crap ton more.
And I mean, if you can be a poet and an enforcer, I think there's options.
Is there a better combination other than like half horse, half man, like a centaur, or like a chocolate and vanilla cone, like a twist cone?
That would be pretty cool.
Those are pretty good. I don't know. Those are just combinations of things, I guess. Boy, we're nearing 20 minutes and we've done 2 matches. So, also in the tag team championship belt, Roderick Strong has teamed up with my favorite wrestler, Pete Dunne, the British dude. And this match is cool. Like, Authors of Pain chokeslam Adam Cole through, I think, like Germany's broadcast booth right away.
That looked terrifying, didn't it?
Yeah, it was the most fear I've felt for someone's life in my entire life.
I cringed. And, Authors of Pain, they're so entertaining, and I think they deserve to get called up to the main roster. But those guys, all of their moves look so incredibly stiff. Like, I am worried they're going to kill someone every time they step in between the ropes,
I'm kind of expecting it, and I'm kind of disappointed. And this is weird. I'm kind of disappointed I haven't seen it yet. And I've put in 3 months, Authors of Pain. Come on. Hurt somebody for real, dog.
Well, you did say last night you wanted to see someone get really hurt, and I think it kind of happened. We'll get to that later.
Yeah, there was definitely some pain being authored last night outside of those guys. So yeah, Adam Cole he's out of the match entirely right away.
Rightfully so.
So the third of the Undisputed Era, and Adam Cole's number 1, number 2 is Bobby Fish, right? And he's out with a torn ACL. And so it's Kyle O'Reilly, who I've never really respected after TakeOver. He's one of my top wrestlers. Just the way he sells things, and like he did some really cool moves when he wasn't getting the crap kicked out of him.
Oh, definitely. His kicks and his knees look brutal.
Yeah. But he gets tossed around quite a bit at the beginning, and so Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne, this kind of like, I don't know. I don't know how they got together as a tag team pair.
I think that's kind of been Roderick Strong's thing for the last years. He doesn't really have a niche, so they just kind of throw him in wherever they can.
He's a good enough wrestler. They work really well together. And even if they don't like each other, which it kind of seemed like they didn't, especially at the end, they both wanted to be tag team champions, so they didn't mess with each other until they did.
Right.
So they're picking away at Authors of Pain and doing a pretty good job of it. And they both nail, I think, their finisher on Akam. Maybe it was Razor. I can't tell them apart.
Other than the little patches on the vest.
And so there's a close to a pinfall. Then the other one breaks it up. And what? Sorry, I'm using my zipper on the mic like an amateur. Yeah. Anyway, so it comes down to Pete Dunne and Kyle O'Reilly in the ring. And Pete Dunne kicks the crap out of him, if I remember correctly, and is about to pin him. And then all of a sudden, Roderick Strong comes in, kicks the dude in the back of the head, kicks his partner in the back of the head, does some sort of, I don't know, maybe a suplex or does another move on him, knocks him out, rolls an unconscious Kyle O'Reilly onto him.
For the win.
For the win. Undisputed Era wins.
Throws the match.
Roderick Strong, the All-American good guy, heel turn. He's now a bad guy. He joins some of the most formidable bad guys in NXT, and I'm really excited for where that's going to go.
And it was a well-done heel turn. I'm very excited for it. Roderick Strong's a guy who I never felt got the credit he deserved in NXT and was kind of floundering, but not anymore. I think big things are coming.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, he's a great wrestler, but totally forgettable. His character, his outfits, his name, nothing about him screams "I'm a superstar." But now, if he's evil, awesome.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see where that goes. Not the most surprising heel turn of the night, but very, very interesting. The next match we have is the men's championship between Andromeda. So a guy named Luchador, Andrew Almas, and Aleister Black, crazy, like, I don't know, Satan guy, a real creep, a real spooky guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of Undertaker-ish in a way.
Might talk less.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Taker talks a lot, but
he's got a dark presence.
Yeah, absolutely. Instead of like taunting people, he just kind of sits in the middle of the ring and just waits. It's very, very intense. But I think he's by far, like, he's got a lot, what they call in wrestling, he's got over. He's got a lot of over, which means the crowd really likes him. And the crowd does not like Andromeda. How do you say it?
Amadeus.
It's definitely, there's no M in it. Amos Almas. He's not a good guy. People don't like him. There's been, in the 3 months I've been watching this, there's been a lot of drama with him and Aleister. And his girlfriend's, Almas's girlfriend, Zelina Vega, this harlot who, she runs into the match and screws people over all the time.
Basically, yeah. She's definitely gotten Andrade. I think it's Andrade.
There it is.
Yeah.
Not Andrew or Amos or
Amadeus.
Oh, Amadeus. Yeah, she messed up like Aleister's pins twice, I think, or at least his finisher with a hurricane or something like that. Crazy leg spin move.
Yeah, she interferes in all of his matches, and it's frustrating. But I don't know. I mean, I was excited for that match. I think it was notable, though, that they put the title match on before the Gargano-Ciampa match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Usually with a big event like that, you want to put your premier belt in the main spotlight, the main showcase.
No, that's what I would think. I was surprised it came on before that. I was not disappointed with how the Johnny Wrestling Ciampa fight turned out, though. I think that was a better main event.
Definitely.
Aleister ends up winning the match. Vega tries to do the same move on him a third time, but something happens and Aleister dodges it. She ends up in Almas's arms, and then Alistair it's Black Mass. Is that the sweet kick he does right into the
Super
face?
cool finish.
It's, just this super sleek kick to the head.
It was a good match. I was expecting more, though, especially with Andrade coming off the match of the year, his 4-star match.
No, for sure. I definitely had higher hopes, but if that's the most disappointing fight of the night, still better than most of the fights in Mania.
Absolutely.
I think. Matches, I don't know what you call them.
Yeah, Alistair's a great worker, and it was much deserved. I'm looking forward to seeing where he goes with his character. And
just the sheer joy on his face when he won. Like when he was holding the belt, this guy's never smiled.
Never.
I've heard him talk in one promo, and like just a real dark dude. And he's smiling like a 6-year-old getting a puppy for no reason. He's just unbelievably happy, and it's
smiling like the trash can sized demon face he's got tattooed on his back.
Yeah, he's got a huge smiling demon on his back.
It's weird.
Which kind of makes me think, like, is he going to be marketable in WWE?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Vince does like weird, though. Sometimes it's just like those really weird things that just work, and there's no doubt people are into it right now.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I say they keep going with him.
The crowd loves him. So that brings us to our last match of the evening, which is Johnny Wrestling and Tommaso Ciampa.
You got it.
The Sicilian psychopath versus Johnny Wrestling.
Mamma mia.
They were chanting that at one point. It was goofy.
Yeah.
It was like, is this a pro wrestling match or is this an ABBA concert? It was an ABBA concert. We had the wrong channel on. This was a really cool match. What was this one called? It was
It wasn't even a match, old Sam. It was unsanctioned.
Unsanctioned. Yeah.
It didn't even happen. We're talking about it right here, but it didn't even happen. It would be as though John Cena was in the match. We couldn't even see it.
Oh man.
We'll talk about Jorts, man.
I gotta add a laugh track to that because that was a great joke, Eric. It really was. I'm not.
Thank you.
I'm not
Appreciate
roasting
it.
you right now. It was funny. It just took me a while to laugh. Yeah. So unsanctioned, no sanctions. There's no rules. These guys had to sign. They had to sign real liability waivers, right? Like if you die, it's not on WWE.
Really real liability waivers.
Yeah, that's not just part of the drama. These guys could have died.
Yeah, I mean,
Ciampa immediately tore up the pads in the outer ring.
That was crazy.
Expose cement.
Yeah, that was crazy. And then later went on to be power bombed.
Oh man,
onto it, which was that slap.
It was the most gruesome noise I've heard this weekend.
Chilling.
Just a big Italian dude's back getting forcibly thrown 8 feet down onto cement, and he got up. I mean, he wasn't fine, but he continued wrestling.
There were definitely consequences. I mean, by the end of the match, Ciampa was rocking a really nasty shiner, and I think his right eye almost completely swollen shut in the corner.
Yeah, for sure.
It was purple.
Like, a lot of people were like, wrestling's fake, but if you watch it, if you actually watch it, these guys are getting hit for real. Maybe they're not getting punched in the face 30 times like an MMA fighter, but they're still getting hit. It still hurts. It hurt me, and I'm pretty tough.
And I think a lot of times when you see these hardcore type matches, they're really just, shock value and trying to kind of cater to the outside wrestling fans who think it's all just tables and blood and guts. But this match really told a story. I mean, it had a lot of moments.
It did, yeah. Johnny and Ciampa were tag team partners. Like, they teamed up kind of because they didn't have partners.
Yeah, they were DIY was their name.
Yeah, and it never looked. They wore baby blue shirts, and it looked stupid. It was not very tough.
It was pretty corny.
But they were good together. And then Ciampa turned on Johnny, right? Said Johnny was never going to be good. He would never do it on his own. And he beat the crap out of him. Threw him into a wall.
Hit him with a crutch.
And that came back in this match. Ciampa found crutches in the crowd, and it was cool. There was a point where Johnny Wrestling broke a crutch in half, and you thought he was gonna stab, And like I think the 20,000 people in the crowd thought he was gonna stab Ciampa through the throat.
Yeah, that was pretty
Like,
crazy.
That was good acting, if any. Like, I don't know. That for me felt more real than anything when he had to choose between being the good guy or, like, I don't know, killing Scar.
I loved the one moment where they were locked up, handcuffed with their wrist tape.
Oh man,
I thought that was such. I mean, I know it wasn't an improvisational thing, I'm sure, but it just looked so fresh and so in the moment. Like,
yeah.
great. You know what I mean? It's as though these guys are having a knife fight in the middle of the ring.
But they still had enough room to like. They weren't grappling up close and just trading strikes.
Yeah, they were almost like clinched.
Bit of distance. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very cool. The way this match ended was unbelievable. Like with Ciampa taking off his knee, like he'd given Johnny Wrestling a couple knees to the head and they just weren't sticking. This kid has too much fortitude to be taken down by. And Ciampa's a scary dude.
Terrifying.
He's got a 8-foot beard. No, but like 16 inches or something, maybe. It's huge.
Very, very veiny cranium.
Yes,
like
bald.
Awkward. Yeah.
Just a scary guy. And he takes off his knee brace and exposes his bare knee, takes off his knee pad that's under that to give Johnny Wrestling a bare knee to the head to essentially kill him. And we all thought this was going to happen. But what happened? What happens? What does Johnny Wrestling do in the moment?
Smacks him right in the mush.
What does he smack him with?
That knee brace.
The very knee brace that he just took off. What a cool turn. I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't watch wrestling, but I thought that was...
It was super cool. It was,
my heart filled.
A great use of a prop. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
And that's what this match was all about. Unsanctioned match. They could have been fighting out in the crowd and putting each other through tables and, but no, they were using their wrist tape. They were using crutches. They were using knee braces. I mean, these are just random objects that they were really making, suspenseful and entertaining.
It was awesome. And I think when you see an unsanctioned match, you expect to see chairs and tables and like pretty violent stuff.
Definitely.
But this was pretty tame in that these guys, I guess they didn't respect each other, but they weren't out to kill each other.
Yeah, it was still a wrestling match at the end of the day.
Yeah. And
well, not a wrestling match. It never happened.
Yeah. Sorry, Vince, that we're even talking about this. Please don't hit me.
And then how about the finale? Like the very finale.
What was that?
On the same subject of the knee brace, the choke out.
Oh, yeah. I totally forgot about that. He choked him. Did he make him tap with the knee brace around his head?
Yeah, right in his mouth.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was awesome. Maybe I just don't pay enough attention to submissions and stuff. Or maybe it's just this week I was over inundated, like watching stuff, getting prepared for this weekend. But the submissions these people do are pretty crazy. Like, I don't know, just rolling around, getting people locked up with all their limbs and like putting them in a lot of pain.
Yeah, I mean,
it's awesome.
Reflecting, were we watching wrestling this weekend or was this UFC on WWE Network?
It very well. We had 3 UFC fighters.
It's insane.
It's crazy. It's and it adds with the Shayna Ember Moon fight that we've talked about already. It added such another level of like what professional wrestling has been. They add a whole different style of fighting into it, and it's very cool.
It is very cool. I think it brings forward a lot of questions. It's not the first time they've done this. They did it in the 90s where UFC was still very young and WWE had the audience and they were kind of showcasing it there and it didn't really go over as well.
Sure.
But, I mean, does bringing legitimate fighters into a realm of entertainment where, that is what they are, is sports entertainers, does that take away some legitimacy from those wrestlers? I mean, I got to imagine absolutely.
I would think a little bit. I mean, maybe not a ton, but wouldn't you rather be getting paid nearly the same amount to get hurt way less?
Oh, absolutely. It is a business at the end of the day. And
We're talking about like taking Ronda Rousey from being one of the best women UFC fighters to being a WWE diva.
yeah,
Like, does that take away from her as an as a true athlete or whatever?
absolutely not. I think it makes her very wise, as a matter of fact, to have gotten out, at a time when she could and go to WWE, and I'm guessing not taking a huge pay cut. You know what I mean?
No, I mean I think she's gonna bring a lot of people to wrestling. Like when she came out at the Royal Rumble right at the end and was like, I'm gonna be at WrestleMania. She did the point. I was excited, and I don't even like her. After last night, I do though. I love her. I think she's gonna be excellent.
People are going to remember Ronda Rousey as a wrestler and not as a UFC fighter, and here's why. And just hear me out.
Okay, do you have a list? Can I do like a countdown? It sounds like you prepared something.
Nothing prepared here, but
Oh, he's going off the top. Whip, whip, whip. Go for it.
So I mean, when she was in UFC in her prime, she maybe fought 3 times a year, 2 times a year. You know what I mean? It was all just hype and build. Being with WWE under contract, she has the opportunity to now be, have her face in front of millions of people every Monday night. 50 some weeks a year.
Is she going to be in Raw or SmackDown?
I would assume she's going to be on Raw, but she could do the free agent thing where she bounces around.
I feel like she'd probably start on Raw and then get something there and then have to go challenge Charlotte like next year at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I would like that.
I'm already like, who's going to fight next year? And I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing. I mean, a lot of times WrestleMania, they're known for tying up rivalries and tying up feuds, but there were a lot of new things that were sparked last night.
We saw a ton of new stuff. Should we just dive right into WrestleMania?
Let's do it.
Pre-show started out with 2 Royal Rumbles, men's and women's.
Battle Royals, I think,
Battle
would be
Royals.
the preferred term.
Yeah. Because a Royal Rumble, who cares? People care.
It doesn't matter at all.
So it was a 30 people, 20 people in the ring, all fighting. Nothing spectacular. Don't even remember who won.
Well, wouldn't go that far. It was Matt Hardy. The ending was kind of cool. Just being able to see Bray Wyatt come back. I don't think this is what really anybody was expecting. Is he, restarting the Wyatt family with broken Matt and Jeff Hardy, or is he are they joining? Is he joining the Hardys? Is he going to be an honorary Hardy boy?
Yeah. Okay. I didn't quite catch who that guy was at the end because he messed something up and then more or less gave Matt Hardy the win.
Yeah, and he did that ultimate deletion or final deletion match with Matt Hardy a few weeks ago on Monday Night Raw. That was super weird and over the top. It was.
If I watch wrestling, it is almost exclusively NXT and then the WWE pay-per-views.
Definitely check out the deletion. It's like a 15-20 minute movie, and it's really weird.
I hate movies that are long, so if you can get a movie to be like an episode of a TV show, that's the best. And like ideally a short TV show, not like it's not Doctor Who, it's Sherlock that they're 1.5 hour episodes. Get over yourself. Who are you trying to impress, Benedict? With a name like Benedict. Pretty good show, though.
An investment, though.
Who was the cruiserweight? That was
Mustafa Ali.
Mustafa Ali and Alexander.
Cedric Alexander, yeah. Great match.
Yeah, that one was really good. That kind of spoiled a little bit of the beginning of the actual Mania, I think, because I just wasn't impressed with what we saw right off the bat.
Yeah, and it is kind of sad also knowing going into that match that it's already kind of a demotion before it even starts. Or not a demotion, but we're not supposed to take it as seriously,
Right.
It's like an appetizer.
Yeah. I mean, I expected there to be way less people in the crowd. But
yeah, the place was full, especially compared to last year's pre-show.
Yeah, Cedric Alexander ended up winning that one. Kept his belt, right?
Yep.
Or what? Kept his honor. I don't know what he was even wrestling for.
It was really cool. Those guys had a really cool exchange at the end of the match, and definitely a big show of respect there between the two gentlemen. Before the bell even rung, I think Cedric Alexander went up and said something to Mustafa Ali, like, this is our moment, let's do it, let's tear it down, brother, something like that.
I think, right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, this is our time, let's make it count.
Yep.
I thought that was really cool. It was like, we're in this together, bro. Like, let's make a mark. The next match was Finn Balor, The Miz, and Seth Rollins. We both said Seth Rollins would not win, and he did.
I predicted Seth Rollins.
You picked, okay, so.
Yeah.
Okay, then our other buddy picked The Miz.
Yeah, because we were across the board on that one.
Yeah. That match, the only thing that really stuck out to me was seeing The Miz curb stomp. I hadn't seen like a kick that was like that brutal.
Get curb stomped.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. Like running, kick the back of their head down. Awesome. Brutal. And did you say it was like the first, that move just got reinstated?
Yeah, it was banned. So WWE kind of has a list of moves that they don't like to show on TV just because there's a high risk of injury.
Sure.
And, pile driver's one of them. Sometimes they'll make exceptions where like one person can use it, like a modified version of it, which is why Undertaker can still do his tombstone. But, curb stomp was banned for a while because people just kept getting hurt. And they brought it back, and it was crazy. I mean, that was a good match. I think it was a good way to open the show. Everyone's individual entrances were a spectacle, which I think was cool. They added a little more flair.
Finn Balor had like a weird, maybe it's not weird, I don't really know his history, but he had an LGBTQ like ensemble with him.
Yeah, I don't know his background, but I thought it was a really cool nod to bring out all those people. I think there was probably 50 people on stage or so.
It was a lot, and they were stoked to be there.
Yeah,
it was a pretty cool entrance.
It was a cool moment.
The Miz, I hate this guy. His entrance was so like gaudy. I think it fit him unbelievably well, but
he's so irritating.
Yeah, I like him because he was in an episode of Psych, and like that's how I got to know him. And he smashed a vase over his head, and I was like, that guy's angry. But
he always is.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about that match, honestly. It was the Intercontinental Men's Championship. None of the belt names make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, they're just adding new ones, and I don't know. But after that, we were surprised with a very good fight, very good match. We had Charlotte Flair, Ric Flair's wife, daughter. She's the queen, so I'm confused. And then we have Asuka, who's this super dope.
She's from the Queen City, that's why. Charlotte, North Carolina.
That's right. You told me that last night. So who cares? She's also married to her dad. Asuka, who made her debut at the Royal Rumble, not a battle royale, and she won the Royal Rumble, challenged Charlotte Flair, the women's championship of SmackDown, for the belt at WrestleMania. And Asuka's undefeated, and I did not think she would start her career in the WWE defeated. It blew my mind. What did you think going into that? I feel like we all said Asuka was going to win.
Yeah, we were Asuka across the board. I know I really haven't said anything negative about any of the matches we've discussed thus far, but after just reflecting last night, that was my favorite match of the weekend.
Yeah?
Definitely, because I think there's such a history with the Flair lineage, and especially like Rick's health bouts this past year, and then, Asuka, basically the, maybe the best female talent we've seen in professional wrestling in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I think it was just a match that people were hungry for, and even though I was expecting Asuka to win, I knew going in I was going to be happy regardless of the outcome, and it surprised the hell out of me.
I was initially like bummed that she lost, but the more I thought about it, Charlotte's arm was messed up from like a minute into the match, and she was more or less doing moves with one arm.
Yeah, it looked like she was bleeding from two places on her arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I was a little bummed just because I felt that the streak could have gone on longer. People weren't sick of it yet. You know, they didn't
Right.
have a reason to kill it. That would be the only thing I would
But
say.
you've correct me if I'm wrong as you're a wrestling fan. To kill something like her streak has to be done at WrestleMania, right?
Yeah,
Like,
you
that's
don't want to do it as a one-off.
So do you give her a year of undefeated, her first year in the WWE, or kill her off right away and make her start a new career now that she's there?
Yeah.
And I think if you were going to plan on killing her streak off at the next Mania, I think that takes away from what I think will be the main event next year, Charlotte and Ronda. It's the only thing I'm confident about calling for next year's Mania is that those two will be fighting for a belt.
Charlotte Ronda.
I'm thinking it's going to happen based on what I saw last night, because my second favorite match was the Charlotte co-ed tag team.
Yeah, I could see Charlotte Ronda. I could see, even Asuka Charlotte rematch, and maybe Ronda still being involved with the Authority for another year. Maybe billing a Ronda versus Triple H.
Yeah,
I would love to see Triple H get his ass kicked by Ronda Rousey,
dude.
and we kind of did last night.
We were close to it. Yeah.
She threw some bullets at him.
That was yeah. Can we just skip over the Rusev, Jinder Mahal, Randy Orton, Bobby Roode fight? Because that one was pretty bunk.
Please, no disrespect to any of those guys, but that was
Disrespect to Randy Orton. He was not in it. From the moment he walked out, like, and I rewatched everybody's entrances and a bunch of highlights today and last night. I could not have picked him to win.
It kind of felt like a waste of time. People weren't invested in any character other than Rusev, which, by the way, happy Rusev Day to you.
Happy Rusev Day to you as well.
Thanks, man.
Rusev Day is every day.
Happy Rusev Day, everybody.
Jinder Mahal, who is super disgustingly ripped, not in like a cool like we talked about EC3, who's disgustingly ripped, but in a very professional wrestler way. Jinder Mahal, there's something, I don't know. There's maybe they have the exact same body, and I'm being accidentally racist, but there's something about Jinder Mahal that's disgusting.
He looks as though like you stuffed a bunch of jagged rocks into a cheesecloth and just tied it off. That's kind of the physique that Jinder Mahal has.
I couldn't have said it better myself. A cheesecloth bag of rocks.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Gross. And maybe make it wet as well. So, I don't know, because all wrestlers are just very wet.
A glistening cheesecloth bag filled with rocks.
And, okay, last thought on this thing. Jinder Mahal only won because Randy Orton RKO'd everybody in the ring, including Jinder. And then Bobby Roode, I think, turned it around on him. Kind of like RKO'd Randy Orton. And then Jinder Mahal just walks in and takes it.
Yeah.
It was so dumb. It was so disappointing. The next match, do you want to set up the the drama between Triple H and Steph and Ronda?
Yeah, sure. So basically, I believe it was 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, that Ronda Rousey first appeared at WrestleMania, and it was with The Rock. And that was kind of where people were thinking, she was going to be getting signed by WWE very soon. And it didn't happen as soon as what people thought. It took a few years.
Yeah.
They made us wait. And she made her in-ring debut, or not even in-ring debut, but her on TV debut as a contracted wrestler at the Royal Rumble.
Right. She just showed up right at the end, said what up.
Yep.
Congratulated Asuka.
Did a lot of pointing.
A lot of pointing. And she's cool. Her entrance is Joan Jett, Bad Reputation.
Yep, with kind of a nod to Hot Rod Roddy Piper.
Yeah. And I believe she came out in a kilt.
Yep.
In it was more of a skirt because it's a girl and it was short, but a kilt nonetheless. And then
the leather jacket,
which is actually his.
Yeah.
He was like an idol of hers, and he said she was like the closest thing to a daughter that he had, which is awesome.
It is super cool.
Rest in peace, Roddy Piper, right? He died recently?
Absolutely. Very talented guy. Funny guy. Good wrestler. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, it's too bad people have to die. So, back to the drama with the Authority.
Yeah, so basically it was kind of a short build in the sense of her being an actual member of the roster, but kind of in a way 3 years in the making, you know. But yeah, she basically established herself as a rival of Stephanie and Triple H very quickly. They're known as the Authority, Stephanie McMahon. That is.
And they're married, and they went on record saying that they would break Ronda Rousey, and they would use her to make money.
Yep.
And more or less treat her as a product rather than a human being.
Yep, and basically what we saw happen in the last few weeks was their whole plan was kind of foiled by the goofball and human thumb Kurt Angle, who
this guy is a thumb, if not a big toe.
Yeah, he's more of a toe.
He's definitely kind of wider than a thumb and not as tall. But I don't know. I have hair. I have more hair on my toes than my fingers, and the dude's bald. So yeah. So he teamed up with her.
Basically spilled the beans, foiled Stephanie and Triple H's plan, and got Ronda real pissed, and they formed an alliance, which led to this match at Mania. Good build, but honestly, their segments took up a lot of TV time, and some of them were kind of corny. I mean, when people call wrestling a soap opera, they went real cheeky with it on those. So I wasn't really expecting that much from the match, and I guess when they finally executed it, it over-delivered in every sense. That was pure entertainment for 30, 40 minutes.
I thought for the first 10, 15, we weren't going to see Rousey fight at all. Kurt was just getting his getting handed to him by Triple H on repeat until he luckily dodges out of one hit, and Triple H almost hits Steph McMahon in the face, which is everybody's like, oh, he almost hit his wife. And it was crazy. I guess that happens a lot from what I've read. That's kind of their thing where he gets really close to hitting her.
Oh yeah,
by accident, but it surprised the heck out of me.
I think last year he accidentally put her through a table at WrestleMania.
Really? Oh man, how do you explain that to your kids? It's like we were having a conversation and it got out of hand, and then your mom was in my hand, and then she was through the table.
Fell 8 feet accidentally and got splinters.
Ouch! But Kurt finally has an opening to tag Ronda in. And Steph McMahon runs. She sees it because she's not scared of her husband hitting her, and he's terrified that he almost did. She runs around, yanks Ronda into the off of the apron. Kurt's in there still getting his butt kicked. Doesn't get the tap for another 5 minutes. It was absolutely nuts. I didn't think I would see Ronda fight, and then she comes in when she finally gets tagged in.
And when she did, it was great.
Just 110 punches to Steph immediately. Thwack, thwack. It was real punches, it looked like.
She looked like a fighter, but at the same time, it was a hybrid style that I've never really seen before in WWE. I mean, she's definitely got a style to her own that I think is going to work very well.
I think it's definitely going to shake things up.
The thing I didn't like, and I know I mentioned it earlier about, all these UFC people taking away some legitimacy. I think the prime example would be anytime Stephanie and Ronda were going at it in the ring. Because here you have Stephanie who, she's the boss's daughter. She's, Vince's daughter and, future owner of the company. But she's not a formally trained wrestler. And for her to actually, be in there for several minutes with Ronda holding her own and fighting Ronda off, I thought it was kind of tainted Ronda for the moment.
And I think a prime example of that is when Ronda switches over and starts fighting Triple H, and ends up getting him in an arm bar. There were at least 2 or 3 points where Ronda got failed to get Steph into the arm bar because she couldn't break Steph's grip, but she could break Triple H's grip.
Just tossing Triple H around.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And there was a moment where Ronda had Steph in one submission, and Steph was about to tap, but Kurt or Triple H, who was in it, also being submissive. I don't know. Kurt Angle had him in a hold.
We still talking about wrestling here?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Speaking of which, how mean would you let Steph McMahon be to you? Have we talked about that yet?
On a scale of Demi Moore to Joan Rivers?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a funny one. I still don't know who's the meanest, but I'd let her be pretty mean to me. I'd let Triple H be pretty mean to me too, but he just looks like a pretty mean dude. I don't know, maybe he's a friend. Maybe he's a friend of the show. Hey, Trip H, what is it? Howard Hughes Hemsley?
Paul something.
Hunter.
Paul. Well, Hunter's his storyline. He's got a...
What? He's got a real name outside of Hunter Hemsley?
His wrestling name is an acronym that stands for a fake name that's a wrestling name that's Hunter Hearst Helmsley, but I believe he's actually a Paul.
Man, this is appalling to me. It was a cool fight. Steph ends up tapping out under Rousey,
which I think is what everyone wanted to happen. Anyone who's been watching Raw these past few weeks, I mean, Stephanie's just been mean, especially to Kurt Angle and Triple H. The way he's been to Kurt Angle, I mean,
Kurt doesn't deserve that. You know, like, what did he do to anybody?
Yeah, they've been bullies.
He's just a nice little thumb. He's just he doesn't. I don't know.
I guess that's what you do with toes. You just walk on them.
You do, absolutely. The next match we had was the tag team championship, 3-way, whatever. Don't want to talk about it.
I mean, we can touch on it. I think these guys are all really talented, and that's why for me it was a little bit of a letdown. We get to see the Bludgeon Boys take the titles, which is what I predicted would happen.
The moment it started, it was pretty clear they were going to take it.
Yeah, weird stuff. I mean, New Day coming out with the
let's talk about that.
Short stacks.
Oh man, so New Day. I don't know anything about these guys, but they came out and they had these 3D like towers of pancakes projected onto the stage, and then all of a sudden there's 12 to 20 little people, for lack of me knowing what the politically correct term is, because I can't say the M word anymore, which I learned through a John Mulaney bit.
Yeah, it's in bad taste.
But yeah, there was 12 to 20 of them. Looked like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, but instead of them being orange and purple and green, they were just short. They were 5 pancakes. It was very bizarre.
Just flour and syrup.
And buttermilk.
And
You know, the more the dairy, the better, I always say.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
And they threw pancakes into the crowd. They didn't throw the little people, but the little people threw actual cakes. It was silly but like not heartwarmingly silly, just kind of like.
And I mean, they're fighting against the Bludgeon Brothers, who are not silly by any means. They're cane, but they work on a railroad. Is what they've
got big hammers. Yeah, I don't really know what their gimmick is.
I think they need to be repackaged. I got an idea. What if they were? So hear me out here.
Yeah. Hey, Bludgeon Brothers, if you're listening, this is Erik, not Sam.
Got a pitch for you. Video game characters, brothers with stellar facial hair, and they're plumbers. They'll fix your pipes. There's the tall, lanky one and the little bit stockier one.
You call them the Plumgin Brothers.
The Plungin Brothers.
And they sometimes have to go into dungeons to, like, I don't know, wrestle a princess or rescue a princess, rather. You don't want to wrestle a princess.
And we can tell they have a thing for hokey costumes, so why not make them look pixelated?
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
They could probably pull off Italian if you felt like they should, for whatever random reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think for a while, Eric Rowan was doing the very Norse thing, and then they went to kind of a southern rockabilly cult with the Wyatt. So I think he's versatile. Maybe do the Italian shtick.
Switch it up. Takes a couple month break, comes back, and it's me, Mr. Bludgeon, or whatever.
There's some issues here.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to like break any copyright rules, which is I think obvious by the amount of music I put in my podcast. So yeah, what we call them, just the Super Mario Bros. For lack of a better name, That's who they are. They
Spot on.
might switch the hammers for a pipe, like some sort of plumbing pipe and a wrench.
Yeah, and they could have a thing for fungi and stars.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And like flowers that shoot fireballs.
You know your match wasn't that great when you need to be repackaged as a Mario brother.
No, there was the Usos landed maybe 12 super dope super kicks. Only redeeming quality of that match for me, and then it was over. And I wanted the Usos to win.
And I don't dislike any of these teams. The Bludgeon Brothers have been rolling through everyone on SmackDown. That's why I was hoping for some sort of a culmination to all this, but it was lackluster and
no, for sure.
The bathroom break.
And then it was followed up by an even more lackluster match. So, like, all through Mania, the opening shot of Mania is John Cena sitting in the crowd drinking a beer. Or he's got half a beer. You never see him take a sip. Could be apple juice for all I know. But he's in the crowd. He's in street clothes, which just means different jean shorts and a different T-shirt. And
as they kept telling us, he did not have a road to WrestleMania. He did not have a match.
He didn't have a match.
He had to buy a ticket like everybody else.
And halfway through the first half of the match, you see a ref talking to him.
Yeah.
And Cena gets up and he sprints. He's like, I don't know what's going to happen. I got to go. And he sprints to the locker room.
His mom called.
Apparently, the ref told him Undertaker was in the building, right? And like that was teased at the beginning of the Steph, Ronda, Triple H, Kurt Angle match with all those motorcycles. So Cena comes out for his match, does his intro, does his entrance, gets in the ring, lights turn out, everybody's expecting the gongs. And who shows up?
We get Elias.
Elias, who I love.
I think he's great. He's one of my favorite people on Raw.
He's so dumb.
He never has a bad segment though, you know what I mean?
Like he has like his guitar playing is pretty bad.
Yeah.
This dude shows up with a guitar, does his like smack talk, says he's better than the Undertaker. After every phrase he does like a burnout, like some sort of little riff. Gets to the stage, plays a song, which is also bad. And then Cena beats the crap out of him and it's over in 45 seconds.
Yep.
And then Cena's like, well, dang it. He starts to leave.
And Elias, as much of a joke as he was, he'd beat Cena in the past, actually.
I mean, there's no way he was going to beat him tonight for obvious reasons with what was coming.
Right. But
so we see a minute and a half of Cena's intro, followed by boring Cena waiting. We see a 3-minute Elias intro, followed by a minute fight. And then like another 2-minute thing where you're unsure of what's happening. Cena's just walking.
So we can say at this point we've had, probably almost 45 minutes of John Cena screen time.
Yeah, for no reason other than to show him being like, ooh, I'm surprised.
And way too much time for the last 4 months.
Yeah.
He was calling out The Undertaker. Basically, this is building to the moment we're about to talk about. This is something that they've been feeding to the fans and then pulling away at the last moment since the Royal Rumble.
It's been very cat and mouse, from what I understand.
And, what we get is a cowboy hat in the middle of the ring that gets shot by lightning.
Which was cool.
It was cool.
I mean, the lightning was dumb. It was obviously fake. It was purple. It didn't look real. I mean, it was indoor lightning, I guess. Of course, it's not going to look real. Maybe I sound dumb for being so surprised it was fake. But I expected when the lights turned on after the lightning struck for the Rock. That'd be even better. But the Undertaker to be standing in the middle of the ring.
I really wish he would have been. I mean, I think that's what a lot of people were expecting. Then we had to wait through that entrance.
Oh, it was so long and just slow.
It made the whole thing anticlimactic because everyone wanted to see The Undertaker. But why do we have to see him for 10 minutes walking down a ramp before he actually throws a punch?
His entrance was longer than the match.
And
I don't think that might not be true, but it's not far off.
I would believe it. I don't think those guys went, maybe felt like 8 minutes.
I don't know. Cena landed one move, I think, on Taker.
Yeah.
And then like was setting up another one, and Taker like sat up, and you saw Cena see the ghost, which I thought was hilarious because I didn't know that was like a part of Undertaker's history.
Yeah.
So I definitely like that made me cheese. I thought it was really funny. That's the redeeming part of that fight, I think. Taker goes on, does his 5 other moves, calls it a night.
I think it was probably my biggest letdown of the weekend.
Absolutely.
I mean, just because the guys are such big household names. I'm not a huge fan of John Cena, and I don't want to see Undertaker wrestle anymore. But I mean, if you're gonna build the Graveyard Grandpa versus Jort Superman for 4 months, give us a payoff.
And like, is that it for Taker, or is this just setting up like, yeah, he can do it every year at Mania now, or he can do it every other year at Mania? He's 53 years old. He doesn't look good. I guess that might be part of the makeup too.
Yeah, I think it's it. I hope it's it. Honestly, I think all it was giving pissed off fans from last year what they finally wanted, because a lot of people were upset with the Roman Reigns thing. So
sure, yeah. Because last year Taker got like concussed right away, and like Roman Reigns had no chance but to actually beat him.
I think that was the Lesnar match.
Oh yeah.
But Roman Reigns still beat him last year, and it was not what people wanted. So I think they just wanted to see him go out on top.
Sure.
And they gave the fans just enough with the match, but it was a letdown to me.
Yeah, and I didn't see it, but I think this year was a letdown.
Yeah.
Or is that what you're saying? This year's a letdown?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Not long enough. There's no chance. Like, Cena had no chance in it at all. I don't know. Kind of bunk. The next match was pretty cool, though. Daniel Bryan. I didn't know about this guy before this weekend. I'd never heard of him. I was infatuated with his story, though. Had to retire 3 years ago due to concussions. Just kind of like, he's the people's wrestler. The fans more or less forced. This is what my buddy Gus told me. The fans more or less forced McMahon to make this guy, or to allow this guy to keep his rise going, right?
Yeah,
because he was a total underdog, and like even at Mania 30, which we watched, he had to fight Triple H, and then he had to fight Batista and
Orton.
Randy Orton.
Yeah,
and like he beat all 3 of them in that night, and it was awesome.
And Bryan's what, maybe 5'8", 5'9", little guy.
He's like a hipster family wrestler, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think I've heard people call him the hipster of pro wrestling.
And his whole gimmick,
hippie, I guess.
Hippie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's his gimmick?
I was gonna say he's always kind of been an underground guy. Like, even when he came to WWE, he wasn't a young dude. He was that bearded guy who wrestled in, auditoriums and hockey arenas in front of a couple hundred people.
Yeah.
But did it for 12 years.
Yeah.
So
it was a cool match. Him and Shane McMahon, who's Steph McMahon's brother and Vince McMahon's son. They came out. Their entrance was nothing special, but they were ambushed by Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn right away.
Yep.
And something I think they power bombed or suplexed Daniel Bryan onto the apron, and EMTs had to come out, and like we thought he was gonna leave. No one thought he was actually going to be taken away, because we've seen kind of his history of not getting taken away.
And we were just talking earlier in the night before that about how much we hate the power bombs on the side of the ring.
Oh yeah.
And they do it to the guy who's just coming back after several concussions. It's like, come on.
Like, let him have somewhat of a career back.
Yeah.
So Shane McMahon, who's also just coming back from a surgery, has to fight 2 of the biggest heels as far as tag team partners go, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And he does a great job by himself. Like, he sets up a move, and he's a bigger dude. He jumps from one rope and kicks a guy in the face at the other corner.
The coast to coast.
The coast to coast. Yeah. It was awesome. Like, you don't see small people doing that very often.
Much less 50-year-olds.
Much less a guy who probably hasn't wrestled twice this year.
Yeah.
I don't know if he wrestles more than Steph does, but he kept getting the crap kicked out of him, but he kept getting back up. And when it was finally time for the match to end, when it looked like he was going to get pinned, Daniel Bryan shows up. It's great. It was awesome. Because he had just disappeared, and it was like, well, where's he going to go? Is he going to the hospital, or are they giving him the right care in the ambulance? No, he's still there. It was awesome.
Yeah, I think it was a cool match. I liked all the competitors individually. The one thing I will say is I think the build was a little bit repetitive. It seemed like all SmackDown really had going on the past 4 months was, Zayn and Owens beating up Shane McMahon, or some sort of variation of that. One of the McMahons beating up or getting beat up by them. Got a little bit old. I think this match could have gone on at the Rumble and maybe had even a better reaction.
Sure.
But seeing Bryan come back at Mania was fitting, so I'm not going to complain too much about it.
No, I from the minute I learned who Daniel Bryan was, which was on probably Saturday afternoon, to the match, I was looking forward to it.
He's a cool guy.
He got Sami Zayn to tap out with his patented yes lock, I believe it's called.
Yep.
Right, which was cool because he's got the yes chant. Everybody chants yes. They do double point finger pumps to the sky. It looks so dumb, but it's cool.
He reminds me of Kyle O'Reilly, or I should say maybe Kyle O'Reilly reminds me of Daniel Bryan. But we were talking about little guys who throw the knees and the kicks earlier.
Yeah.
And I definitely see a lot of that style there.
He definitely does a lot of kicks.
Yeah.
There was a point where he had both Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in opposite corners, and this was after having just watched WrestleMania 30. I mean, he just flies back and forth, giving him super knees. And I don't know any wrestling moves. Everything's just a super knee or a super kick or a super punch or a suplex or a souffle, which is your term. Also just a cake. It was good. It was fun to see another match end in submission, right?
Yeah.
Maybe does that happen more often than pins do? Because it seemed like it was mostly submissions.
It seemed like it this weekend for sure. Yeah. A lot of tap outs.
The next match we had should have switched, I think, with Charlotte and Asuka, but we had Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax. And this was there was an actual story. Unfortunately, it was body shaming, which I don't think the ladies of the WWE get a lot of quality, and I guess nobody gets quality dramatic narratives, it sounds like, but theirs are always based on looks and men.
Yeah.
Which is whatever. Maybe that's who those characters are. Alexa Bliss a while ago she was caught throwing her best friend Nia Jax under the bus, calling her fat, saying she's dumb, and
it was pretty low. None of it was in good taste. It wasn't fun to watch. I mean, I could kind of see what they were trying to build and the dynamic they were going for, but
the promo for this thing gave me the weirdest emotions because I wanted to cry for Nia, but I also couldn't help but laughing at how stupid it was.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it, and I like both performers. I think it just kind of, I don't think it tainted Nia. It definitely tainted Alexa. It was weird.
Yeah. I mean, maybe she'll have a good rise as a bully now, but I don't think those are the kind of female characters you want to keep around.
Yeah. And I will say too, not to backtrack, but I just kind of do feel like after that Daniel Bryan, Shane McMahon, Owen Zayn match ended, the show kind of started to slip a little bit. And
absolutely.
I don't know if the quality of matches went down, but people didn't seem nearly as invested.
On my outline, I go from 4 to 5 to 8 lines of stuff for every match. Alexa Bliss has 2. Shinsuke AJ Styles has 1. The Braun Strowman tag team match doesn't even have a line of summary. That's
There's a lot to talk about there. There's a lot to talk about that match.
And I didn't even write down the main event, which was Lesnar and Roman Reigns. But yeah, Alexa Bliss, the only cool thing about this match was Nia Jax coming out right away and beating the crap out of Alexa's sidekick or whatever, Mickey,
yeah,
Mickey James,
who was involved in another kind of body shaming storyline probably almost 10 years ago that was also in very bad taste, and I don't think anyone enjoyed it at the time. That's why it's like it's not the first time they've done it.
Right.
You know, why repeat it? It's not well received.
No, nobody likes it.
No.
So yeah, Nia ends up winning, takes the belt. Sad ending still, because now she has a championship, but she doesn't have any friends. And, you know, the one person who was her friend turned on her, and that leads us to Shinsuke Nakamura, who is one of my favorite in the WWE. Awesome Japanese wrestler, versus AJ Styles, who I have really enjoyed getting to know.
Both two of my top fives, I would say, right now.
And this story had a build. Like, they made a documentary about the rivalry, which was really cool. Like, by they, I mean WWE. And again, like, I did not think it would end the way it did. Shinsuke, like Asuka, got his debut at the Royal Rumble. They both came up through New Japan and then went to NXT and made their debuts and won the Royal Rumble. And they both got to challenge for a belt at the main event, or at Mania, and they both lost. And it was so surprising. Like, the Shinsuke Styles match was awesome. Those guys are good wrestlers.
It was, yeah.
But how it ended, like, do you even want to talk about any points in the match, or do you just want to go to after the pin?
The ending was what made it for me. Again, I'm going to sound like that entitled fan, but which I am.
That's fine. You're more entitled than I am.
Pay for the network.
I don't.
But I don't know. I was expecting more. Like, I know what these guys are capable of after watching them for years. Styles it would be hard to argue him not being the best wrestler of 2017. And you got a guy like Shinsuke who's also right up there. I thought they could have gone longer. I think they could have shortened some other matches and had Shinsuke and AJ go on for 40 minutes and put on a clinic.
I would have watched that go for an hour.
Yeah, have them execute all their moves, throw in a few new ones, have lots of false finishes. That's what I was hoping for. And instead we got something that was cool, seeing those guys face off in WWE, because it wasn't their first time wrestling.
I want to say they wrestled in New Japan once.
They wrestled in New Japan
but
once.
I think it was their WWE first.
Yeah.
First match against each other.
But yeah, we other than that was really the only thing I wanted to say about the actual in-ring action. What happened after the bell rung was great.
It was cool.
Me.
Yeah. So after the Charlotte and Asuka match, Asuka took the mic and said Charlotte was ready for Asuka, which was a great. She, is very respectful. They hugged. It was a great ending, and it looked great for women's wrestling.
Yep.
After Shinsuke, AJ Styles, you think you're going to see something similar. Shinsuke walks up to the ref, like, says something to him, grabs the belt, and goes and gets down on a knee to pass the belt off to give it back to its rightful owner, AJ Styles. And AJ is like, he's kind of confused. He's like, what? This is weird. This is like, maybe it's Japanese culture. It's very proper. And he takes the belt, and then Shinsuke, is there a name for what he does? Like to AJ Styles for that move that he pulls? Or is it just punching a guy in the nuts?
Usually they call it a low blow.
Okay.
Yeah.
He hits him
cheap shot
directly below the belt into the huevos, essentially cracking his eggs.
Yeah.
And then beats the crap out of him for another 4 minutes, turning himself into a heel, going from someone people love to someone people love to hate.
Yeah, maybe going from the biggest true babyface in the company.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Did you think there was never an opportunity he'd be a bad guy?
No, I don't know about that, but I just think anytime you can be so over with the fans as a babyface without having to say almost a word,
Sure.
that's when you know you're top dog. And I mean, granted, there is a little bit of a language barrier, but I've seen the guy cut a promo. I mean, his English is pretty solid.
If you watch the documentary about him and like immediately after watching promos, I think they make him talk poor in the
Really?
promos. Like I mean his English is not great.
Right. I've seen him in interviews, and he's understandable for sure.
The promos are definitely like, I don't know. They don't seem to give him a voice.
Sure.
Even the same with Asuka as well, and her English is much better.
Yeah.
But it's cool, and I think as a heel he might be able to even have a bigger character, a bigger impact on things while being able to say less.
Yeah.
Because I mean, watching those promos is at times uncomfortable.
It is.
Like, why not just? My first thought was like, let him speak in Japanese and throw up subtitles.
Yeah.
But you know,
I'd be all right with it.
I would like that better than I've said it on here before. There's something absolutely charming and beautiful about people speaking English as a second language to like bridge that gap, or you know, to make us feel at ease. But you don't have to do it all the time.
Yeah.
Let him be Japanese. You know, without making it a like character flaw like they do with a lot of people.
Right.
But yeah, so he turns into a heel, which is super exciting. I don't know what's going to happen for that. I hope it leads to an even bigger rivalry between him and Styles.
I think it could be a big launching point for his career because I mean he'd had a few championship opportunities in this last year, but never got the big one. Never won the big one.
Yeah.
Now as a bad guy, maybe SmackDown was kind of lacking in the heel department as of late, I felt, as far as singles competitors go.
Sure. And I've never actually watched a SmackDown match, but knowing that's where Shinsuke is ending up makes it much more exciting. I mean, there's people complain about the amount of football that's on a week. You have so much more wrestling than football, right?
As a wrestling fan, there's too much wrestling on each week. And I'm a football fan too, and I don't watch every game every Sunday, and I don't watch every match every week. It's one of those things where it's enjoyable, but I don't overindulge. And
yeah. No, you and I, both of us, neither of us are lunatics. I yell at myself in my room for an hour every week.
I felt like a lunatic after this weekend. I woke up this morning and, like I said, felt genuinely dirty from the amount of wrestling I stared at over this weekend.
I'm not happy about it. Like, I was so stoked. Like, this week I watched a bunch of NXT and watched a bunch of promos and got really stoked for the takeover. And, like, that got me even more stoked for Mania. But when it came down to it, like, watching the pre-show, I was just like, I'm over it.
Yeah.
And then, like, as Mania went on, I kept trying to, like, need to, like, force myself to pay attention. Because it just wasn't there for me because it was too much.
Well, and that's what it does. When you talked about how you think this weekend turned you into a wrestling fan, it is a curse in a way because it's definitely a soap opera, but as lousy as the storylines may be at sometimes, they give you enough and, leave you with just a little so that you come back for more.
Yeah, and I want a little bit more. At the same time, I want a whole heck of a lot less. I don't think and we've got 2 more matches to cover. As a new wrestling fan, I don't think I'm ever going to go out of my way to watch wrestling without my 2 buddies who watch wrestling, Erik and Gus. You and Gus, who I watched the Mania with. But my priorities lie elsewhere. I'm not going to watch pro football over a lot of other forms of content,
Right.
And I love watching football.
I'm with you there. I'm not going to set aside my Sunday or my Monday to be in front of the TV, but, I'll watch the Super Bowl and I'll watch the pay-per-views. So.
Yeah. Pay-per-views are more than enough for me.
Yep.
And with every WWE pay-per-view, you get an NXT takeover, and that's a good amount.
That's like a cherry on top.
Yeah.
Actually, that might even be the Sunday. WrestleMania might have just been the little cherry on top.
And it's like a partially rotten cherry.
Yeah.
Like the NXT, it was this weekend for sure. NXT was way better than Mania. with that being said, we have two more matches. We've got Braun Strowman, who is in a tag team partnership with no one it's to be determined, against the Bar. Is that who he was wrestling?
The Bar. We are the Burr.
I didn't know these guys before this. Don't care for them. I think they're dumb.
I like them, but I also watched them as singles competitors. So
Sure. Okay.
I think this kind of rebranding as a tag team, the Celtic guy, Sheamus,
Yeah.
and the Swiss Superman, Cesaro. I think it's a cool pairing. And they've kind of gone with a weird punk kind of taxi driver-ish, watered down Travis Bickle thing, I think.
No, for sure. That's a very interesting point. Sheamus has an 8-inch mohawk.
Yeah.
Stands straight up, bright orange with white tips.
They wear the aviators with the patched up Vietnam jackets.
Yeah, that was cool. From the beginning of it, when we were doing our pick'ems, we all kind of hoped, I hoped Braun Strowman would come out and fight by himself.
Me too.
And then he announces to everybody, he's like, "Hey, I'm picking a partner from the crowd," and that takes 8 minutes for him to walk around and select.
And I think a lot of people were expecting a wrestler to be there in attendance because there were so many names thrown out over the past few weeks.
There were a ton of New Japan guys there who would have been so cool to see them go in there and do some of their illegal moves.
That style would have paired really cool.
But
who did they pick?
They picked Nicholas, a 10-year-old boy with long brown hair. And seemingly random, everybody, I mean, you could figure out it wasn't random if you thought about the logistics of taking a kid into a wrestling match.
It's not the first time WWE's done a plant, as they call it, where they plant a fan. But that was pretty over the top and intricate. I mean, he walked, I'm guessing the attendance, they probably said it yesterday, but 70,000 plus.
They filled up the Silver Dome.
This guy, Braun Strowman, who's a big gentleman, he walks, basically parts this sea of people for probably 100 yards.
Yeah.
And plucks a 10-year-old out of the crowd. And, you know it's not random, but it's how do you even find him? You know what I mean?
No,
it was weird.
It blew my mind. And so this kid comes onto the apron, comes into the ring, looks terrified the entire time, just standing in the corner.
Yeah.
Holding onto the rope. His eyes are looking over the top rope, but his mouth is below the top rope. That's how short he is.
It's probably the biggest moment of that kid's life, and he didn't look like he was enjoying it one bit.
No. It definitely looked like his dad was involved in the industry, but he was maybe not the biggest, how I got to go on a lot of trips with my dad to football games, but I wasn't running around being yeah, football, all the time.
Yeah.
This kid looked like that. He's I'm happy to be here. It's an honor, but at the same time, I prefer ice dancing.
Well, I mean, talk about overstimulating. You're a 10-year-old kid surrounded by wrestlers, and you're on a jumbotron.
Oh, I thought I peaked early being Homecoming King in 2010. I can't imagine what the youngest ever tag team champion feels today.
This kid's screwed. He's probably going to grow up to be just like his dad as a referee.
Yeah. So it turns out his dad was the referee of that match, and it was a stunt. And awesome. But
pretty adorable stunt. I mean, good for Nicholas, but I don't know if you've heard, but the rumor mill's been going nuts. Nicholas needs to watch his back.
Why?
He had to have a police escort out of the building. This guy's got legitimate heat with some of the men and women backstage. Apparently,
the wrestlers?
Yeah. Baszler and Ronda were waiting for him backstage. People are very upset because he didn't come up the traditional way, and here's this 10-year-old, getting a title shot.
Baszler and Rousey came up traditional. They were UFC fighters.
I mean, they were putting in time in the gym. I mean,
I suppose, yeah, they probably put more time into their deltoids than Nicholas has put into being a human.
All I got to say to Nicholas is watch it. You're messing with some big time competitors. Don't get too big for your britches, kiddo.
Oh man. And he got tagged in for 30 seconds and he looked like he was going to crap himself.
Yeah.
He was up against the bald guy, not Sheamus.
I was really hoping he was going to, throw a kick and maybe pull off an elbow pad and
I hoped
drop a Nick
so
bottom.
bad that there would be like he would run over and like throw an elbow to the gut and then run back and like, you know, the other guys would sell it, but it didn't happen. It was just kind of a little disappointing.
What do you think Nick's gimmick's gonna be?
I don't know if he's anything like my roommate named Nick. It's just gonna be him being the worst.
What's the worst finishing move?
Saying you're gonna hang out and then not hanging out.
I was talking about Nick.
Oh, sorry. I'm just mad at my roommate. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know which way they're going with the angle. I don't know if they're going to have it be a different kid each week, or if they're going to have him travel. I gotta imagine it's gonna be short-lived, but I think it gives some depth to the Braun Strowman character.
I think so. It was fun to see him have a lighthearted side to him.
A little bit where the wild things are ish. That was kind of what I was thinking of today. Is what it reminded me of.
Yeah, I loved that book.
Yeah.
Movie was all right.
Yeah.
Music was great. I think Karen O from the Yeah Yeahs did the score. Doesn't matter.
I would like to see Strowman built into a friendly beast because I mean he's basically rolled through everyone, and he's shown that he can be a funny comedic act when given the opportunity.
Yeah, and I think that's very much needed in any sort of thing. Is more comedic content.
Yeah, especially from someone who looks like a monster like that.
Yeah. Speaking of monsters, we talk about a great segue. The next match, the main event of the night, we got Pumpkinhead Brock Lesnar versus.
Can I do this one?
Please take
the big dog.
That's it. I was sitting back hoping you were gonna do like a whole. And now weighing in at 300 pumpkins, we the human pumpkin Brock. I think he looks like a pumpkin. I don't know why.
I mean, you must have been more invested than I was. I really am not a huge fan of either of these guys.
This isn't your production, man. I have to be invested. I have to try and put the content out there.
No, I wasn't talking about this. I was talking about the match. The
match sucked.
I can't get excited over those guys. I mean,
I don't care about either. I'm happy to see Lesnar leaving. I was hoping that Roman Reigns would bleed out. I'm sorry, but
that was gruesome. That was.
So, yeah, the match goes on. Brock Lesnar hits his finisher 6 or 7 times. Roman Reigns kicks out of it every time.
They always liken Roman Reigns to being the Superman of the WWE. And I guess we found out his kryptonite is 10 F5s. You need exactly 10 F5s to kill Roman Reigns.
And 4 brutal elbows to the forehead.
Yeah, that was... I mean, I know wrestling's fake and all that, but that's one of those moments where you scratch your head and it's like, did they talk about that? Was that a cheap shot? Is he trying to send a message on his way out?
It looked like pure emotion from Lesnar.
I didn't like it. It made me, it wasn't the blood and the gore that made me queasy. It was just how it was done. You know, wrestling, those guys, so basically wrestling used to be TV-14 as they called it, and they shifted to PG. And when they did that, they took away a lot of the bloodshed.
Sure.
But guys like Ric Flair, they used to hide, you know, razor blades and bleed everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, for health reasons, it's really good. I'm very thankful they don't do that anymore.
There was so much blood at
the
end of
this.
this.
There was so much. And it wasn't the mount. It was just the way he drew it. You knew that he legitimately busted him open, you know?
Yeah.
It looked vicious.
I mean... Yeah, we were arguing whether or not it could have been fake. And I wholeheartedly believe it was. But just the sheer amount of blood that kept coming, I don't know how it could have been fake.
Yeah.
You know, because he was covered from his entire face down to like his neck, all blood. His hair was soaked in blood. It was crazy. And then he hits his finisher.
I was going to say the look that Brock Lesnar gave right after he threw those elbows was pretty gross, too.
Yeah.
He just got up and gave almost this smirk.
No, for sure. And he has a smirk to him that comes out at uncomfortable times.
Very smug guy with lousy tattoos.
He's got a zipper. Is that what it is? Straight up from his belly button to his neck?
I mean, I thought it was something phallic, but yeah,
maybe.
It's a zipper.
It's stupid either way. Brock Lesnar, you're stupid. If you want to fight me, you can. I don't care. I'll fight you. It's all fake anyway. You look like a pumpkin. He ends up winning. He walks out with the belt, mad. Rumors have it he walks out with Dana White, the head of The UFC, right? Like they walked out together after the match.
I don't remember that. Was that on TV?
I think so.
Was that televised? I don't remember seeing that part.
I might be confusing.
I believe it. I believe it though.
When no, he walked out with his the other
Paul Heyman,
the other fat bald guy.
You're right though. Dana White was in attendance. They flashed to him, which was very surprising.
The last shot of the Rousey fight was him clapping, very happy for her.
Yeah,
which is cool because there's a lot of bad blood I think between him and McMahon as far as like taking wrestlers and just one of them's a pure violent sport, the other one's an a performance art form.
Right.
And then we got to see the credits and the highlights. And the last thing we saw is Roman Reigns walking out to complete indifference from the crowd.
Yeah.
You could hear maybe 4 woos, like silence. People were tired. They were not happy with what they just saw.
That's the best way to put it too, was just indifference. And that's the one thing you never want as a wrestler.
No.
And I don't want to sit here sounding like an expert, but you want to have a reaction, you know?
As he walked out, it would have been better for him if people booed uncontrollably.
Yeah.
It would have been better if they cheered uncontrollably or like, but nothing?
If you're paying money as a fan, you want to be presented with something that you can get behind, whether it's, you know, jeering and booing them out of the building and wanting to throw a Coca-Cola can at them.
Yeah.
Or cheering out of the edge of your seat and wanting to high-five them over the guardrail, you know? And there was none of that. There were people playing with beach balls in the audience. There was people chanting CM Punk at the beginning of the match.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know,
Nobody wanted it. Everybody's happy to see Brock Lesnar go, assuming he's leaving, going back to UFC.
Assuming he's leaving, does he leave with the belt then? I don't know. It seems like there's got to be some collusion going on between the WWE and UFC.
Something fishy's going on.
Something fishy, because
it'd be cool to see a crossover episode where like Asuka goes and like runs around the octagon and kicks the crap out of somebody.
That'd be cool.
Or better yet, if Kairi-san, that girl.
Yeah.
Because she's got the smile.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. I don't know why or if Adam Cole did it would be even better because he's the man.
Adam Cole is the man. Very wet hair too.
Sorry. I mean, all wrestlers are perpetually wet, but there's something about Adam Cole's hair. It's just always wet.
Yeah. How wet?
Pretty wet. It was fun, though. I mean, I can wait another year before another WrestleMania weekend.
Oh, God, yeah.
And
it was a day well spent, though. I mean,
Dude, you made those tacos, which were dope. Shrimp and chicken, not combined. You could combine them if you wanted, but that'd be weird.
Yeah.
It'd be like
whatever you got to do.
Surf and turf.
Concoctions are good. Experimenting is encouraged.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that'd be a little bit of a weird one.
I'm not a weirdo like that. I want to thank you for coming on. This is the longest and maybe most coherent episode of The Deviled Advocate I've ever been a part of.
Well, I don't know if that's a compliment or a burn, but
no, it's
thanks for having me.
For sure an insult. I'm gonna take you out, brother, and fight you.
Oh no.
Yeah, we're pushing an hour 40.
Oof.
So I want to thank you for coming on and talking about wrestling. I want to thank anybody who made it this far for listening to us talk about wrestling. I promise you, this is not going to become a wrestling podcast. I don't care about the sport, the performance that much.
It means nothing. It's all fake. Even though the one match was unsanctioned, the match that was the coolest one of the weekend.
Don't get me started on
none of it matters.
What anything means, because then we break down the entire universe, being like, oh, we're all just specks of dust.
If the universe means nothing, wrestling is nil.
Oh yeah, it's a black hole.
Yeah,
it means less than nothing. It takes away from the rest of things that matter. That being said, I hope you guys enjoy your day. Eric, I hope you enjoy your day. You're welcome to hang out for as long as you want. Yeah, follow me on Twitter at salsa_Dave, or we got a Twitter for the podcast, DEPOD Sam, Deviled Advocate Podcast Sam. It's not very funny. Don't ever tweet from it, but to update episodes. And you got any plugs? You got anything coming up you want to talk about before we shut this down?
Yeah, trying to work on some wrestling themed stuff in the future. A little bit of a wrestling comedy promotion. It's still in the works. Still kind of an idea in early pre-production stages, but hopefully more news coming very soon.
Yeah, I'll definitely be putting that out there when we get it all finalized. Trying to get a wrestling themed comedy show started in the city. Is trying to reboot something that some guys started a while ago. Don't know why I signed on to help. I don't like wrestling, but I like comedy, so it's gonna be a blast. Yeah. Anything else for you?
That was all for me, man. Thanks for having me on. It's been a good time.
Yeah. Thanks for dealing with me. Everybody, this has been Erik, and you want to say check you later?
No, not really.
You gotta say it. My nephew said it.
Check you later.
Oh, you're
just because of Sam's nephew.
You're such an idiot. I'm gonna make everybody say the same goodbye from now on. I don't know what it's gonna be, but
that's a lame goodbye. You should like totally bite Nardwar and do the I don't
doot
doot doot doot.
It doesn't make any sense because the logo says doot doola doot doot.
Yeah.
But his like the sound is like doot doodle doot doot. I maybe just said the same thing twice, but yeah. Check you later.
Yeah, watch Monday Night Raw and listen to Sam's podcast.
Or better yet, don't even listen to my podcast. Just watch WrestleMania. Or better yet, don't watch wrestling, listen to my podcast.